Extreme heat is already building out west here into this weekend. We also have colder than normal temperatures in the eastern U.S. We also are going to have some extreme heat in Florida, although not nearly as anomalous temperatures as far as above normal goes. It's still going to feel hot here, but they're used to hot temperatures, so I guess that's why it's not showing bigger anomalies. But either way, very hot out west. Very humid down in Florida in the coming days. We also have severe weather, the potential for severe weather in the next several days in the parts of the Central Plains, Colorado, Oklahoma, Texas, the parts of the Southeast. But you can see the temperatures in the eastern U.S. are going to be below or close to average through middle of May, which is a nice change. Right, we'll talk about all those things and the potential also for some flooding in certain areas next. So to start off with, before I get into the rest of the forecast about the heat, you can see here where what the temperatures are below freezing up here into Michigan and Wisconsin this morning, and up into the Appalachians here with frost advisories, a freeze product here. Let me see what it says. Freeze warning in the higher terrain in Elkins area, right? Also up into parts of Wisconsin, you have a frost advisory. And you have some freeze warnings up here in Michigan as well. Some frost advisories there. Also, red flag warnings for fire conditions possible up in parts of North Dakota and Montana today. And of course, you got the extreme heat watch for parts of California here. Indio, Boral Springs, just to the west of El Centro, the Desert Hot Springs, mostly in the desert areas. You see how the current temps are in the 70s and 80s already here, so pretty brutal. You can see how the hot temps are also down into parts of southern Texas along the Gulf Coast and into southern Florida and in Key West near 80 degrees right now. So pretty warm here, and you can see where the boundary is, right? Pretty easily. So Northeast, kind of a chilly morning here. So enjoy it. It's going to be this cool air is going to persist in the east for several days. So enjoy the cool down while you can before summer kicks in soon. So let's review the temperatures over the next several days for Florida here, given it's going to be very hot this weekend, right? So this initialized today, 90s, 100s. This is your apparent temperature, 90, 94, 95, even in the Central Florida here, in the theme parks, right? Even along the coastline, exception northern Florida, 90 degrees. Actual air temperatures, pretty much just below that, right? And the anomaly above normal, 5 to 6 degrees above normal here. So let's move through time here. And this is what we care about, how it feels, right? We go over it overnight hours into Saturday morning, 70s and 80s for the most part, and into tomorrow, 98 in parts of south central Florida here, 95, 90s, all the way up into central Florida. Okay, I know this doesn't show the cities on here. Wish it did, but maybe I'll figure out a way to make it show that. But you can see where the highest temperatures will be, right? This is Saturday evening, afternoon. 70 doesn't even get below 80 here on the east coast of Florida. 70s and 80s all the way down into southern Florida here, even central Florida, not getting out of the mid 70s. Going to be very humid and hot even overnight. This may be the warmest day here Sunday, 99 near 100 degrees anywhere in this. See it's like the yellow, the silver, max 100.4 here in this area. All right, so that's 100.4 somewhere in here. So it could get up to 100 degrees, and actual air temperature is less than that, of course. We get in the next couple of days here into Monday, pretty much the same. But you see some cooler temps pushing in from the north here, kind of cutting back on that into Monday. All right, get into Tuesday, cooler temps, even pushing even further south. So you get in towards Wednesday, getting back to more reasonable temps, I guess, for Florida standards here, 80s and 90s. And if you look at the anomaly here, either close, either below or near normal here. So That's not too bad, at least for that, right? So let's, as far as precip, are we going to get any showers and storms that'll maybe so switching over to the future radar, let's use the NAM 3 kilometer. We can take a look and see what the potential is for any precip here in Florida that may bring some relief. This is as of 2 a.m. today. All right, not expecting a lot, maybe some storms on the northern side of Florida, um, but not much relief here. All along the Gulf Coast, you see you have some rainfall. If you do get some showers in central Florida, that'll help some, right, into today. Maybe some pushing off the Florida coastline here. Maybe some showers in south central Florida as well, but not much relief, okay? Into Saturday, now we have to switch this up to HRRR, and we'll go back to more of a short range model here and go to the 6Z. Okay, we'll start off Saturday to Sunday. I don't know, everything is like, but through the weekend, you see the showers and storms stay mostly to the north here, and you have repeated showers and storms moving through. Maybe into Sunday morning, you get some more showers pushing through here, but so that's it for Florida here. So focusing on temps out west here, right? We talked about how hot it's going to get. And one thing to consider too is the dew points out here. The dew points are going to be a lot lower, so it'll be a dry heat, so to speak. It's still going to be hot, right? But we're talking 10 a.m. We'll start this. These are apparent temperatures, how it feels out here. You see how it feels 93, right? The actual air temperature is hotter, 104, right? You go back to apparent temperature, less, right? So dew points, this is why. You see the dew points in the 20s and 30s here. So that's very dry, okay? Very dry air. All right, so so the dry air actually has a cooling effect, right? Because it's evaporation is very efficient off your skin, right? So it actually feels cooler than it actually is. I don't care what you say though, it's gonna be hot, right? So this is how it feels to the human body, 6 p.m. Okay, that's why they have a heat index, because it takes that into account, the dew point, moisture in the air and stuff. So into Saturday, and I know this model run is a couple model runs back, but it's the only one that went far enough out. There's a problem with the 1Z on here. I can't get it to work right. So anyway, this is a national blend of models if you didn't see that there. Let's see, even into Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas here are going to be in the 80s and 90s for apparent temperatures. Down here in southern Texas, near 90 degrees, okay? If you look at air temperatures, not nearly as hot. Dew point, actually, that's bizarre. Yeah, temperature, apparent temperature. So, right, so your apparent temperature has a big spread, a lot higher than your actual temperature. That's saying something there. So, about the temperature, right? You see your actual temperature is here in western Texas. Your apparent temperature is less, all right? So that's lower humidity values there. All right, so the dew points are lower. I know I keep talking about that, but that's an important thing to think about, right? Because that makes a difference in how it feels to you. So anyway, you can see out west here, we got Saturday, 8 p.m. All right, so we see how hot it is. Apparent temperature, in overnight hours, apparent in the 80s still. So it's not cooling off much in the overnight hours, right? Saturday to Sunday morning, 90s, 100s down here for apparent temperatures. Again, the actual temperature is about the same here. So you see this? Temperature 104. Apparent temperature a little bit less, right? A little less than 100. And the dew points are still very low here. You think about this is a below freezing dew point. So that tells you the percentage of moisture in the air is very, very low, very dry. So not unusual out here. All right. You get in the Los Angeles area, we have dew points in the 50s and 60s. That's pretty warm as far as dew points go. Temperatures, you see Los Angeles will be 80, right? All in the up into California. Looks like in the valleys here, looks to be pretty hot, right? Go back to apparent temps. Even here, it's relatively dry, right? So go to dew points, 48 and 50, so not too bad. You get the 50s and 60s right along the coast here. That's when it's feels yucky, right? So this is Sunday at 8 p.m. Going back to apparent temps here. And I know you're tired of me going back and forth here, but I just want to explain this stuff the best I can here. Now we're getting to Phoenix, Tucson, Monday afternoon. You're talking 100-degree real feel, a lot hotter, 106 for actual temperatures here. Brutal. Los Angeles, right along the coast, is in the 70s, but just inland, 100 for real feel, I mean, for actual temperatures. 80s and 90s with maybe a 90 degrees up into the central US. To your apparent temperature is a little bit less here. So temperatures brutal on Monday. It looks to be the hottest day out west here. All right. We already talked about Florida. And if we take this out a little bit further, you see how warm it is even up into southern Canada. Crazy stuff, 60s and 70s. Expansive high pressure up here. I want to just keep this zoomed out to get a better look at this here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more now. Amarillo in the 90s, Carlsbad in the 90s for temperature. You go to how it feels. 90s and 100s, right? Dew points. A little bit more moisture here in, 36% still isn't very moist, right? But a little bit more. Tuesday, if you want to say it's cooling off some, I guess you're right. But you see the warmer temps are moving now um, to the east here. So you got a bunch of temperatures in the 90s as far as how it feels in the Texas, persisting in the Florida as well. And all the way up into southern Canada, real field temperatures near 80 degrees. North Dakota, South Dakota, all the states in the central U.S., all the way down to the southeast. So expansive high pressure here, low pressure up here. You can make out where the different features are pretty much, right? So let's get into the rest of the week here. 80s, 90s. The heat is shifting to the east. You see what you can almost make out where the ridge is building here, based on where the temperatures are, right? Maybe like this. Okay, a little bit cooler on the coast here, right? So moving through to Friday of this next week, 7 days from now. Hotter temps still here in the central U.S., almost hotter than it is out here in the desert. So you see the pattern shift in the coming days and what the temperatures will be. And next, we're going to talk about the severe weather feature and feature rainfall potential and where I think it might be focused in the coming days. So let's quickly review what the GFS ensemble severe probability tool is wanting to show us. I got to update this. All right, this is initialized today, 00Z. I like to show this, like I said, because it has the different features on here that give the 500 millibar flow, and right, you can make out what's going on here as far as flow goes, right? And this forecast field that I've selected down here, Z500 standard anomaly spaghetti, which tells us the anomalies above and below normal for heights with the 500 millibar, which is mid-level flow. And then it helps us delineate where lower pressure is and more disturbed weather versus higher pressure and less disturbed weather, right? All right, so you can make up the general flow here starting today. And what looks like maybe a short wave move through the flow here. You can see where we have the probability for severe weather today. Highest, at least according to this tool, in these areas. And so with this different, like a mid-level low here, mid-level low here, 500 millibar, a pretty deep one up here, right? So the flow is this way. With this trough, you have some forcing associated with it. And this high pressure, you have flow going this way, right? So severe weather, right? So let's review the severe weather for today. And voila, here you have your severe weather potential. How about that? Makes sense, right? The tool is pretty amazing. I think it does really well in depicting the pattern and where severe weather would be. I don't know how many people use it, but I really like it. And it's great. You know, I use all the tools I can get to help me forecast the weather here. So when we start off with this, you see the severe weather potential where it is. Margin of risk from northern Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, into Texas, and two distinct areas here, one down in southwestern Texas, San Antonio, Eagle Pass, Rio Grande City. All right. But you see the slight risk categorical up here, set on Oklahoma City, up to southern Kansas here, and northern Texas, with the margin of risk going up to Missouri here. General thunderstorms otherwise. Maybe get some thunderstorms here in central northern Georgia, northeast Georgia, Alabama. So we got quite an expansive area of disturbed weather today. Okay, so this threat really in the western U.S. central plains, I guess you would say, is more a hail and wind threat, right? So we have our hail threat here. You see where the hatched area is. And you have the 15% hail risk with the hatched area inside it, and down here you have a 5% risk. So the highest probability of hail as far as spatial coverage is in the yellow area, which is 15%. And in the hatched area, that's a regional max intensity of, as far as hail goes, 2-inch hail. And down here, 5% chance of 2-inch hail within 25 miles of a given location in the hatched area. So, and outside that area, you could have 1-inch hail diameter or larger, or none at all, but 5% chance spatial coverage, and 15% of 1-inch hail in this yellow area. Wind, that pretty much encompasses the whole outlook area with the 15 and 5%. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible here with the greatest spatial coverage in the yellow here. Already did hail. There is a tornado risk here. We do have one into Oklahoma, Missouri, and parts of Kansas through Oklahoma City, up to the north here. So big cities, right? Oklahoma City, Tulsa, just to the south of Wichita. So we also have a marginal risk, which is 2%. I forgot to mention that. On the southern edge of this boundary, the severe threat, if we get enough boundary layer moisture, and right along the boundary here, we could get some more severe storms and spin-ups here. The potential is low. Not expecting significant severe, but as far as significant, like strong tornadoes, EF2. So that's what this means, no hatching here. See, as far as tomorrow into Saturday, you see the trough is still swinging through, right? Up to the north. You have maybe the axis of it down here, right? But you have this mid-level feature, move the flow going this way. The main 500 millibar low, upper level low, is staying offshore of Baja, high pressure to the north. This high pressure out here is steering stuff this way, right? Hence the warmer temperatures down here, right? Kind of an interesting position for this high pressure for this time of year, but anyway, you see where the focus for severe weather is predicted for tomorrow with this model. Also, maybe some potential up here. Is this maybe base of the trough, maybe a short wave shifting through anywhere along the Gulf Coast. We also have the potential for severe weather, maybe into northern Florida and parts of southern Texas as this mid-level shortwave moves through. It's interesting feature here that will impact the sensible weather as it moves to the south, moves to the east over the weekend. So looking at tomorrow's severe threat, again, we have a threat, a slight risk here from Dallas, well, not Dallas, generally Wichita Falls, Texas, to the west of Oklahoma City, okay, up in the parts of, through Oklahoma here, parts of Texas, Kansas, you have a marginal risk down towards Dallas, and all on the Gulf Coast, we have a marginal risk as well, and a large expansive area of thunderstorms possible tomorrow also. So unsettled weather anywhere in this area. Now moving on to your tornado risk. Let's start there. A very small tornado risk tomorrow, at least right now. So what I showed you on that GEFS probabilities is not necessarily just tornado. It could be any severe, right? So probably significant hail or winds here as well. Wind risk doesn't look to be that high either. 5% marginal risk from Dallas up to west central Kansas through west central Oklahoma into the Panhandle and parts of northeastern Texas as well. All right, and along the Gulf Coast for possible 50-knot wind gusts, which is around 60 miles per hour within 25 miles of a given location. Hail. Here we go. Well, no significant hail, at least outlook right now. This is where your slight risk comes into play through all Lawton, Oklahoma, Wichita Falls, Cheyenne. It's not Cheyenne, Wyoming. I get that mixed up because I look at it and think it's Wyoming, right? But larger marginal risk of hail all the way through part of the risk area here, all the way in the northern part of this risk area, and potential 1-inch hail in the western part of the risk area. If you remember, it was this here. So I forgot to mention too what the excessive rainfall outlook looks like for today. We have a focused area precip expected to get a 15%, has a 15% chance of excessive rainfall within 25 miles of a given location here in the New Orleans area, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all along the Gulf Coast, pretty much in that where that severe risk is. So focused area of precip, and also in southern Texas here, Laredo, Nuevo Laredo, Zapata, Crystal City, all those areas here. I don't know what the population density is out here, but I don't think it's that high. I hope not anyway. Total precip. See the total precip where the highest is? Back in to the west of Corpus Christi between Nuevo Laredo and Cotula. And Louisiana here, we have a couple inches possible today. Woodville, Marksville, Hattiesburg, and general rainfall everywhere else, but maybe a focused area up to the north towards in centrally Indiana near Shelbyville, Indianapolis, Springfield, Columbus, Ohio. So beneficial rain for the south. We got plenty in the last past couple days. We need a bunch more here. As far as tomorrow, here's your excessive rainfall. Here's your daily precip totals expected, and your excessive rainfall outlook for tomorrow is focused in the Baton Rouge area, Gulfport, Mississippi, Pensacola, Florida, Dothan, Alabama, into southwestern Georgia. All right, so a small area here tomorrow. As we go into Sunday, the expansive high pressure is back west, back to our west here, not back west again. It's still there, right? That mid-level feature we saw is kind of getting absorbed in the flow here, right? Not kind of, it is. So, but you have the trough axis again, swinging through right on the back side of this. Some focused area convection maybe in central Texas into northern Louisiana, parts of Arkansas, anywhere along the Gulf Coast here, excuse me. All right, then you have the high pressure down here in Florida, right? So persistent high pressure out west, hot temperatures, northerly flow here with just a distinct change right here, right? The flow going like this, trough, severe weather, right? So this is Sunday. So let's review the severe weather threat for Sunday here. See what it has to say. Going back to Sunday. All right, this is a categorical risk. Now we have a remember you saw that risk on the GFS severe probabilities page? Well, here it is. 15% risk of severe weather anywhere in this area. Dallas, San Angelo, Big Lake, Texas, Texarkana, right in the Four Corners region here with a 15% risk. 5% risk all the way up towards Memphis, Tennessee here, right? Little Rock, San Antonio, Austin, and another severe threat along the Gulf Coast again. So more of a concentrated area of thunderstorms here as well, right here. So let's look at this is as far as we can go with this. It doesn't really tell us. They don't get more detailed than this, right? So let's look at the excessive rainfall look for that day. This is Sunday, right? Focused in the Shreveport area, Greenville, Little Rock, Muskogee, Oklahoma, Ardmore, and Claiborne through Dallas, Texas, which is a marginal risk of excessive rainfall, 5% within 25 miles of a given location, which means there's a marginal flooding chance in those areas, meaning exceeding flash flooding criteria. Okay. Total precip, ice amounts centered pretty much in that area where the excessive rainfall outlook is, and into south central Georgia, maybe central Georgia as well, maybe a half inch to an inch of rainfall. So I think the reason they don't have excessive rainfall outlook here is because we haven't had a lot of rain. It's going to take a lot of rain in a short period of time to have flooding. Rainfall otherwise up into the northeast, generally unsettled anywhere in this area here. Dry as a bone out west. And moving on with this, we're going into Monday, right? It looks like this is a transition day where we got this trough still kind of getting squished here, right? Becoming more negatively tilted, maybe, right? The space of it swinging through. High pressure kind of getting squeezed a little bit. All right, this one getting squeezed a little bit to the south. Okay, so that's pushing some cooler air down this way into Florida, right? Northerly flow, westerly flow here. But what this could bring is some storms, and I'll talk about this. Mesoscale convective systems can move over the top part of this ridge, go down this way, and depends on the flow pattern and interactions with other boundaries and short waves and things like that, how it can affect these features. So hard to resolve, longer term, especially. But this is a general flow. Okay. Moving into Tuesday, high pressure is building more like this, right? You can see it here. Northwest flow straight down the gullet down here into Georgia, northeast, right? Cold core low up here. So I'll put maybe some unsettled weather up here in northern New England as well. But you see right on the edge of this here into Tuesday, potential maybe a short wave or something moving through the flow here. You see the base of this trough is still in the process of swinging through, but you see the heights are not as high here. So bringing more of a northerly flow here on Florida. So that would be nice, right? Instead of that other, it's just really searing temperatures down there. So moving on a little quicker here, so we can look at the flow pattern to Wednesday. Potential for severe weather and unsettled weather out west again, maybe along the mid-Atlantic. High pressure firmly placed out here, although not quite as strong. You see the 3.0 there versus 4.0, not quite as strong. This low is persisting here, but the base of it is more this way now. Maybe a short wave on the back side here. All right. So still northerly flow here. Expansive high pressure still in the central U.S. This low wants to just stay there, right? We're talking Friday. It's today, a week from now, Saturday. Northerly flow is still here, right? The mid levels. Still, we're starting to get under the influence of high pressure now. Okay, a little bit. Okay, that low shifts off, and the orientation of this is more this way, right? Pretty much covering most of the U.S. So you have this trough here. So what does that say for severe weather? Chances are severe weather is not going to be in play here for a little while, at least significant, right? Maybe general thunderstorms, but we're getting 11 days out now. Okay, so that's where I'm going to end this here. I could talk all day about this, but that's the general flow pattern. I think it's pretty accurate. Now, where severe weather is going to end up, hard to tell at this point. But that's it for this part. Severe weather, excessive rainfall, and the general flow of the next several days. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. Appreciate y'all watching. Y'all take care and stay safe out there, especially in areas where it's hot. It's gonna be hot this weekend. Be mindful of these temperatures, and they can really surprise you. Although we're not in the desert, they're not exact. You guys are not exactly not used to this, but it's pretty early, I would say, in the season for me this hot. So anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Have a great day, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.